Okay, good evening everyone, and we're back in the weekly Parsha. Although, if you'll allow me to, I'd like to diverge or divert from the weekly Parsha and speak about what's called Inyani D'Yoyma, which are the happenings and the events on the calendar. Tomorrow night, Be'ez Hashem, is going to be what's called Pesach Sheini, the second Pesach. It's also the Hilula, it is the Yortzeit of Rebbe Meir Balanes. And then the following Monday night is going to be Lag BaOmer, which revolves around the life of Rabbi Akiva. So I'd like to try to put these three ideas together: Pesach Sheini, Hilula Rabbi Meir, and Lag BaOmer, and try in Mitzvah Hashem to see something that's a very powerful message for all of us. There's a famous custom in Klal Yisrael that we have a Masorah. We go all the way back at least 300 years. The Chidah said that he found that this was a custom in many, many congregations across Europe, that whenever there would be a lost object, and you wouldn't be able to find it, you wouldn't know where it is, you looked and you looked and you looked, there's a special tefillah and a special act of tzedakah that a person would do. And that is that you would give money in the merit of Rabbi Meir Balanes, the great Tana, the great Torah scholar from the Gemara, and in his merit, as we'll see in the tefillah, your lost object is going to be found. So you can't find your wallet, you're looking all around, it's usually right in your pocket, but just in case it's not in your pocket, you're looking all around, you don't find it, you give the money to the tzedakah for Rabbi Meir Balanes, say the special declaration that we'll say, and lo and behold, you're going to find your wallet. A woman is washing Netilas Yadayim by Shabbos day, she's getting ready for her challah, she puts her ring down, lo and behold, she can't find her ring. She looks and looks and looks and looks all day long. Shabbos, she can't find it. Motzei Shabbos, after Havdalah, she pulls out the money, puts it in the box, says the special prayer to Rebbe Meir, and there it is, the ring comes back. A person loses anything, they can say this special prayer and give the money in the merit of Rebbe Meir Balanes. And this is the tefillah, this is the prayer that we say. Amar Rebbe Binyamin said, HaKoil b'cheskes sumin, everyone is within the realm of a sumin, of a blind person. Everybody is blind. Ad sha'HaKadosh Baruch Hu meir es eineim, until HaKadosh Baruch Hu enlightens our eyes. You lost something, you can't find it, it's gone. So you're blind. In regards to that particular object, you can't see. Until HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes along and He opens our eyes that we could see. Min hacha, where do we learn this from? Vayivkach, because we know that there's a story in the Torah about a woman by the name of Hagar. She was the maidservant of Sarah and Avraham, and she marries, so to speak, Avraham Avinu, and has a child named Yishmael. And Yishmael is out in the wilderness, and he is dying of dehydration, and he's about to leave this world. And all she needs is some water for her flask, but of course in the middle of a desert there is no water. And Hashem says, Vayivkach Elokim es eineha. Hashem opened her eyes. V'teirei be'er mayim. She suddenly sees a wellspring of water. V'seilech u'simales achemes. And she goes and she fills up the flask of water and gives it to her son. So what do you see from the story? Says this special tefillah over here, that the well was right there in front of her. She just couldn't see it. Until Vayivkach Elokim es eineh, till Hashem opened her eyes, and suddenly, oh, there it is. She pulls out a flask, brings the water to Yishmael, and Yishmael ends up drinking, and he survives, and he lives. Then we say over the following words, Eloika de Meir Aneni, the God of Meir, of Rebbe Meir should answer me. Eloika de Meir Aneni, the God of Rebbe Meir should answer me. Eloika de Meir Aneni, the God of Rebbe Meir should answer me. And then you do b'zechus hatzdaka shani noidev, in the merit of the tzedakah, the charity that I'm giving, le'ilui nishmas Rabbi Meir Balanes, for the elevation of the soul of Rabbi Meir Balanes, zechus hayagan aleinu, his merit should protect us. Tazor li lim sayas ha'avedish ibadati, help me find the object that I have lost. And then you open your eyes, and there's your wallet right there. There's the keys to your car that you couldn't find for the last 3 days. They're right there. Your wife lost her ring. She lost her necklace. She lost one of the backings from her diamond earring. She can't find. There it is. It's right there. It works miraculously. There's thousands and thousands of stories of people that have done this, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and it works. And the obvious question is, why Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes? There are so many Tanoim, there are so many great sages in the Gemara. Himself, Rabbi Meir, his Rebbe was Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was greater than Rabbi Meir. And Rabbi Akiva had a Rebbe whose name was Nachum Ish Gamzu. Nachum Ish was even greater than Rabbi Akiva. So each one of the great Tanoim, the sages, Rebbe, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, all of them. Why do we have a prayer in the merit of Elakadah, Rabbi Meir Aneni, that in the merit of Meir, the God of Rabbi Meir, let him answer me? What is so special, so unique about Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes that none of the other Tanaim, none of the other sages in the Gemara have in this way? There are many Gemaras that speak about the unique qualities of Rabbi Meir. But I'd like to start off with the humble beginnings of where he comes from, and perhaps maybe we can begin to answer our question. The Gemara tells us that when Rome was coming to destroy the Beis HaMikdash, to destroy the temple, says the Gemara that Shadu Ilayu Nero and Caesar. So there was a Caesar by the name of Nero, and he decided he's going to be the one that's going to go and destroy the temple, the Beis HaMikdash, Yerushalayim. He's going to bring it down to the ground. But he wanted to make a test to see if the time is auspicious and he's going to have the power that he needs to destroy the great city of Jerusalem. The Romans knew Jerusalem is the holy city. The Sheini, the divine presence, resides over there. The Jewish people are a magnificent nation. He had to make sure that now is the time to go and destroy the great land of Israel, Jerusalem, and the Beis HaMikdash. So what was his test? He took an arrow and he shot it to the east. And the arrow in the air, mid-air, turns the other way and flies all the way to Yerushalayim. He shoots an arrow to the west, and the arrow takes a sharp turn mid-air and flies all the way to Yerushalayim and lands in Jerusalem. He shoots north, south, up, down, everywhere, every single direction. Everywhere that he shoots the arrow, it goes straight through the air and lands right in the city of Yerushalayim, of Jerusalem. And he says, if that's not a sign that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is making way for me to go and destroy the holy city of Yerushalayim, what else could be a great sign more than that? As he's on his way to go conquer the city of Jerusalem, he meets a young cheder boy, a young boy, a Jewish boy that is studying in school. And we find often in the Gemara these things happen. The enemies of the Jewish people, they would ask one of these young children, what are you learning today? They want to hear that maybe this boy is going to tell them some words of inspiration to go and destroy the Jewish people. So he says to this young boy, Psaikli psukech, tell me, what verse are you learning today in the Torah? And the boy turns to him and he says, Omar lei, he says to him, we're learning a verse, that we're learning a pasuk, and it says like this: V'nasati es nigmasi be'edoim b'yad ami Yisrael. Hashem says, I will take my revenge against Edom through the agency of my people of Israel. Which means Edom, who is Rome, is coming to destroy the Klal Yisrael. And the verse that the young boy quoted him was, you should know that Hashem says, I'm going to take out my wrath on the people of Edom that are trying to come and destroy Klal Yisrael. Well, when Nero heard these words, Omar, he said to himself, Kuchebrichu boy lecharuvi beisei. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to destroy his house, uboy lechipor yodei bahu gavra, and he's going to wipe his hands clean of me. Hashem wants the Beis HaMikdash to be destroyed. Obviously, that's the decree. And if I'm the one that goes and does it, I'm going to get destroyed myself. I'm not that stupid, said Nero. So what did he do? Says the Gemara, Orak v'ozo v'yigayer. He ran away and he converted to Judaism. He saw the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made, saved his life. He runs away and he converts. He becomes a ger, a convert. V'nafak minei Rebbe Meir. And one of the descendants of this great Roman Caesar Nero is none other than Rebbe Meir Balanes. Where does he come from? He comes from a man that was once the arch enemy of Klal Yisrael, who ends up hearing the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It goes right inside of him, and it inspires him to change his life and become a ger, become a convert. And from that person, the Nero, the Caesar, comes eventually his descendant, his offspring, Rebbe Meir Balanes. So Rebbe Meir Balanes is coming from a person who himself changed his life, from a person who saw something that was concealed before him. He didn't know how great, what special Jews and this and that, and he ends up becoming a Jew himself. That's just the introduction to Rebbe Meir Balanes. Rebbe Meir Balanes had a wife. Anybody know the name of his wife? A very famous woman in Chazal. Probably the most famous, I don't know how you say it in Hebrew, Talmida Chachama. She was the most famous Torah scholar in all of Chazal. Okay, it's late. Bruria. Yeah, the famous woman by the name of Bruria. She was a daughter of Rabbi Chanina ben Trajon, and she was a giant of Torah, of scholarship, and she was constantly putting the sages in their place, and she would give them a musar, and it was no less to her husband, Rebbe Meir. So the Gemara tells us that Rebbe Meir lived in a city where there were a lot of pritzim, there were a lot of lawless people that were around, people that were really bothering him. They were good for nothings, they were bummy people, and he didn't like having them around. So one day he starts davening, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, kill all of these people, get them out of here. And his wife hears him, and she says, Rebbe Meir, you're davening that these people should die? Is that what a Jew does? And she quotes him a verse over there. It says, Yitamu chatoyim, the sins should disappear. They should end. It doesn't say that the sinners should be the one that end. The sins should end. You don't go and daven with them, they should die. Rather, she said, go and daven that they should do tshuva, and they should change, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will listen to your prayers. Says the Gemara, Boy rachemei alayu. Rabbi Meir took his wife's words to heart. He then went and davened and asked for mercy from Hashem. V'hadju b'tshuva, and they all returned in tshuva. They returned to Hashem. All of the bad guys in his town, they all became saints. They all became big tzaddikim. Rabbi Meir learned from his wife, the famous Bruria, the very important message, and that is that nobody is ever stuck in the situation that they are stuck in. They might be bad people today, they might be lowly people today, they might be sinners today. But if boy rachame, you see also an amazing thing, you could daven for somebody else to do tshuva. You could daven for somebody else to become a better person. You could daven for somebody else to abandon their evil ways and return to the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And your prayers are so powerful. They can be heard and listened to, and they will help to bring that person into the right place. But still yet, we don't see from the Gemara the famous Maisa, the famous story of Rabbi Meir Balanes, which is where we get these words of Eleika, the Meir, Aneni, the God of Rabbi Meir should answer me. So this is a different Gemara. And the Gemara tells us, as we mentioned before, that Bruria was the daughter of a sage by the name of Chanina ben Trajan. And she had a sister. She had a sister. And it's the time of the Romans when they're coming to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. And there were 10 martyrs of Klal Yisrael that all got killed in horrific ways. One of the 10 martyrs was her father, Rebbe Chanina. And her sister, because of an act she did of a little bit of perhaps haughtiness and showing off too much, she was punished as well. What was her punishment? She was sent into the house of ill repute, a house of prostitution, to become a prostitute. And she's there in this house, And Bruria, her sister, says to her husband, Rabbi Meir, this is too embarrassing for me. My sister's a prostitute. You must go save her. Please do me a favor, save my sister from where she is right now. I can't have this anymore. So Rabbi Meir dresses himself up and disguises himself as a Roman, and he walks into the town, and he comes to the house of prostitution. And he says to himself like this: if she has not defiled herself while she was in this house of prostitution, so then Hashem will make a nace and He's going to save her. But if she succumbed to the pressures in the house of prostitution and she lowered herself, there's nothing I can do to save my wife's sister. So imagine the great sage Rebbe Meir. He walks into a house of prostitution. And he looks around and he sees his sister-in-law. And he walks over there, he looks dressed like a Roman, and he said, I'd like to hire you for your services. And she said, I'm so sorry. The way of the women is upon me, which means I just got my period, I'm sorry, I can't. So he said, it's okay. You look like a very beautiful young lady. I'll wait till you recover. She said, why are you going to wait for me? There's plenty of women in this house of prostitution, much more beautiful than I am. Go take somebody else. So Rebbe Meir said to himself, if this is what she's answering to me, a stranger, she doesn't know me, then I could assume that she says the same thing to every man that comes to this house. It must mean that she didn't do anything wrong the whole time that she's here. She deserves a miracle. She deserves to be saved. So Rabbi Meir goes over to the prison guard and he says, please do me a favor. And he pulls out a sack of a lot of money. Do me a favor. Release this young lady. Let her come home with me. And the guard said, well, what will be? The authorities are going to come after me. I let their captive go. What's going to be with me? So Meir pulls out the money and says, listen, here's a lot of money. Half of it you take, bribe the Roman authorities. The other half, you keep to yourself. He said, but what happens when I run out of money? He said, when you run out of money, don't worry. You say, Eleika, the Meir Aneni, the God of Rabbi Meir, answer me, and Hashem's going to make a miracle for you. So the Roman guard says, well, you think I'm a fool? I'm going to so hocus pocus over here? You're going to leave and take the lady. You're going to leave with all the money. I'll run out of the money. The authorities are going to come after me. Then I'll say this Hebrew word, Elekai the Meir Aneni. How do I know it's going to work? So Meir said, watch. And there was a pack of some wild dogs walking the streets of Rome. And Meir took a big clod of dirt and he threw the dirt at the dogs and they start barking and they come running rabid all after him. And Rebbe Meir says, Eleika, the Meir Aneni, may the God of Rebbe Meir answer me. And the moment that he says those words, the dogs end up walking away and they become like little puppies. And the guard says, ooh, that's what it is, fine. And he in fact did get in trouble. And they came to hang the guard eventually because he let this woman leave. And as he's there with the noose around his neck and he's about to be hung, he says, Eleika the Meir Aneni. The noose breaks and they let him go free. The miracle of Rebbe Meir is that Rebbe Meir was able to save his sister-in-law, and he revealed to the guard and he reveals to us that when you find yourself in trouble, when you can't get back the thing that you want, and you need that, here you need your life, here you need to be protected, here you have to walk away with your sister-in-law, you say the words, Eleika, the Meir Aneni, the God of Rebbe Meir should answer me, and poof, everything works out miraculously. And therefore, we have a special tefillah that if a person has lost anything, money, a wallet, a jewelry, whatever it might have been, the wedding ring, whatever it is, say these words, and Eleika the Rebbe Meir Aneni, the God of Rebbe Meir is going to answer you. But we're not done yet. The same night is the Hilula as the Yortzeit of Rebbe Meir is also something called Pesach Sheini. It's the second Pesach. What is Pesach Sheini? Pesach Sheini is a Maisa, a story that we have in the Chumash. All the Jews are coming to offer the first Korban Pesach, the first sacrifice for the first year of Pesach in the wilderness. And there's a halacha that says that if you're tamei, if you're impure, you cannot bring a sacrifice. And all of these men show up, they were on their way to bring the Korban Pesach, and lo and behold, they came in contact with a corpse, and they ended up having to bury the corpse, and they became tamei, they became impure. And they come to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they say over the following words to Moshe. They say, Lama nigara levilti ikreves hakorban. Why should we lose out just because that we are tamei, that we are impure? Why should we lose out and not be able to offer the korban like everybody else? And so they ask, can't there be some kind of like special dispensation for people like us? We were doing a mitzvah. We were on our way to go help. We were trying to help somebody. There's nobody else to bury that body. What else should we do? So is there anything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can do for us to save us? Moshe Rabbeinu says, that's a very good question. I don't know the answer. So you see, it's okay for a rabbi to say he doesn't know the answer. And he says, let me go and ask Hashem. And he goes to the Rebbe, Shalom, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, they're right. They shouldn't lose out. And as a result of them so badly wanting to be able to fulfill the mitzvah, even though by all other mitzvahs in the Torah, imagine like you missed all 8 days of Hanukkah. You never lit the menorah. So are you going to go the following month, in the next month of the calendar year, and start lighting 8 days? No, you're not. Imagine for Sukkot, for whatever the reason was, you didn't sit in a Sukkah the 7 days. You didn't take the Lulav and the Esrog 7 days. So what, the next month you're going to take Lulav and Esrog? No, you're not. But by Pesach, where they came along and they said, how could it be we're going to lose out like this? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you're right. And I'm going to give you what's called Pesach Sheini, the second Pesach. And those that so badly did not want to lose out on the mitzvah of the Korban Pesach, which is the mitzvah which attests to our great emunah, our great faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the miracles that Hashem made when we were leaving Egypt, and all of the above. So then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you can have it. In the schus, in the merit of, you asked because you wanted so badly to fulfill a mitzvah that you were not able to do at the time that everybody else was. You want, says Hashem, I can't say no. If a person wants something so badly, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I cannot say no to you. And the last of the stories that we have tonight is what's going to happen next Monday night, Lag BaOmer. Lag BaOmer is a very auspicious day on the calendar. We know the Gemara tells us that Rabbi Akiva had 24,000 students, and they all died between Pesach and basically Lag BaOmer. 33 days. 24,000 students. Nobody could imagine such a tragedy. Your whole life's work, everything that you believe in, everything that you worked on, dashed in 33 days. And the whole world, the Gemara says, the whole world became desolate. The Torah of Klal Yisrael was gone. Rabbi Akiva was the leader. These were the next in line, the future leaders of Klal Yisrael, and every single one is gone. The Gemara tells us that Rabbi Akiva decided the following. Until Rabbi Akiva got up and he went to his sages in the south, and he began teaching all of them. And who were his Talmidim? Rabbi Meir Balanes, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, whose yahrzeit is also on Lag BaOmer, Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua and Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua, V'heim Amidu Torah Oisasha, and they are the ones that became the pillars of the Torah in that time. Now, the Arizal asked the following question. Rabbi Akiva certainly was devastated after all of this. His whole life's dream is gone. Remember, Rabbi Akiva is the one that until 40 years old didn't know an aleph from a base. He changed his whole life. He learned for 24 years straight. He didn't even come and see his wife. 24 years learning, till he becomes the great Rabbi Akiva. And he builds the biggest yeshiva in the entire world. 24,000 students, bigger than Lakewood. It's bigger than the Meir, the biggest yeshiva in the world. And then in 33 days, all of his students, because they didn't give the proper respect one to the other, they all end up dying. That's about 850 deaths a day. Rebbe Akiva is running around from one levaya, one funeral to the next. He's giving one eulogy after the next. He's going to 800 shiva houses every single day after every levaya that he went to. And at the end of 30 days, he walks into his base midrash. It's so silent you can hear a pin drop. There's not even one sound. And now Rebbe Akiva has to make a decision in his life. What do I do? Do I throw in the towel? Obviously, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not very happy with what I did. Or am I going to find a way to go on in my life? And the Gemara says that Rebbe Akiva eventually decided to move forward with his life, find only 5. I mean, he wasn't like the most popular Rebbe in the world right now. He's like, would you like to join my yeshiva? Aren't you the one that had 24,000 students that died? It's okay, I'll find another yeshiva. He found 5 brave souls. Rabbi Meir Balanes, one of them, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Asked the Arizal, how long did it take Rebbe Akiva to get over his, what we would imagine, his broken spirit? How many days did Rebbe Akiva mourn the loss of 24,000 students? How long did it take Rebbe Akiva to reorganize his life and say, the show must go on, the Torah has to live? Says the Arizal that Rebbe Akiva's last student died on Lag BaOmer. And Lag BaOmer is a time there's nobody else to die. And says the Arizal that on Lag BaOmer itself, Rebbe Akiva said, I'm going forward in my life. I'm not going to stop. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the Torah to be eternal, I'm going to keep moving through the world and find new students. I'm going to teach them all of the Torah, and from them the Torah will come to Klal Yisrael. And so like a giant of strength, of emunah, of conviction and determination, Rebbe Akiva gets up and he begins marching the Dorom to the north of Eretz Yisrael, south of Eretz Yisrael, and he finds 5 new students. From them, all of the Torah in the world comes. We're living in their schus, in their merits today. Rebbe Akiva never gave up. If you know that you're doing the right thing, you never, ever give up in your life. So we have the Hilul of the Rebbe Meir Balanes, Elokad the Rebbe Meir Aneni. Rebbe Meir, what was his secret? Why is it that we want to say, all in his name, we should find the lost objects? Rebbe Meir was the one who understood how to return lost objects to their place. Rebbe Meir is from the offspring of a ger, of a convert. What's a convert? The Meshech Chochmah says, you know what a convert is? A convert is a Jewish neshama that got lost somewhere amongst the goyim, the nations of the world. It ended up in a non-Jewish body, in a non-Jewish family somewhere, but the neshama is really a Jew. And that's why it's far and few the non-Jews that decide to become Jewish. Why? Because not every single non-Jew in the world has an affinity towards Yiddishkeit. Not every non-Jew says, wow, Judaism is such an amazing thing, I would love to become a Jew. The ger, the convert, is a Yiddish neshama, a Jewish soul that is returning to where it once came before. It was always Jewish, it just got lost, and now it's being found. Its eyes were opened up, and it sees the truth of what it wants to be. Rabbi Meir comes from there. Rabbi Meir learned from his wife, Bruria, that when there are people that are rotten people, there are people that are sinners, there are people that are doing the wrong things, you should know that every single person could return, if only they want to. It doesn't matter how many sins, it doesn't matter how far away they are, it doesn't matter how many terrible things they've done in their life, it doesn't matter if right now they're sinning. You yourself, Rabbi Meir, you could ask Rachamei Shemaim, the mercy of Hashem. You could help to tilt and shift their own bechir, their own free will, and you could awaken inside of their hearts the desires to do tshuva and come back to Hashem. The lost souls, Rabbi Meir learns, they also come back to Hashem. And then when Rabbi Meir goes to find his sister-in-law, it's all on one condition. If she remained pure, if she remained untouched, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu can make a nace and he's going to save and rescue her. And Rabbi Meir risks his life. He goes into this place and he sees that this woman is a tzaddik, she's as righteous as she was before. And he takes her from captivity and he brings her once again to freedom. And it's all in the merit of those words, Eleika de Meir Aneni, the God of Meir, Rabbi Meir, answer me. Because when something is captive and something is out of your hands and you don't have it, you want it to be released, you call upon the God of Rabbi Meir. And that is the same thing as Pesach Sheini. Pesach Sheini is the people who were on their way to go bring the Korban Pesach, and they became tummy, they became impure, not by mistake. It was in purpose. Why? Because they saw what's called a meis mitzvah, a dead body lying around that nobody was taking care of. We have no choice. We have to do a mitzvah. So because we do one mitzvah, we should lose out on another mitzvah. Lama nigara, why should we lose out? Why should we have things taken away from us? And Hashem said, you're right. If you're doing the right thing, you're right. You should never lose out. If you did one mitzvah, I'll give you a chance for another mitzvah. If you have one person, I'm going to help you, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you buried the dead who had nobody else, I'll give you the chance to bring a mitzvah. Even though this was not in the Torah originally, I'm going to give it to you now. I mean, it was in the Torah originally. Hashem just did not reveal it to us yet. It's revealed through them. Pesach Sheini is, it's never too late. You never give up hope. There's always a second chance. You can always go again. Just ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's happy to give. And of course, Rabbi Akiva by Lag BaOmer. Rabbi Akiva lost everything, but he lost nothing. Because as long as you believe in your mission in this world, and as long as you believe in the Rebbe Shalom, what he wants from a person, and as long as you believe that if I have conviction of what I want to accomplish, nothing can get in my way, then even on the saddest day of a person's life, which for him was Lag BaOmer, became the happiest day, which is why after 33 days of the Omer, no haircuts, no music, no weddings, no simchas, on that day we celebrate and we rejoice. Why are we rejoicing? We're rejoicing because they stopped dying. There was nobody left to die. But that's the point. There was no one left to die. There were no students left for Rabbi Akiva. And yet Rabbi Akiva said, it's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep going and going and going. And he found Rabbi Meir and he taught over all of the Torah to Klal Yisrael. Because that's the power of a Jew. The power of a Jew is that nothing in this world will ever stop me. There's always going to be a second chance. A person can always do tshuva from where they are. I can even help other people in their quest to do the right thing, And like a Rabbi Akiva who believes with this great Amunah Shleiman HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if I have a mission and a purpose in this world, then there's certainly nothing that's going to stand in my way. And that's why Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes is the one that we call upon, because he's the one who comes from the converts, who is the Jewish neshama that finds its way back. He's the one who recognized that people can always do tshuva, and he's the one that saw that if a person is captive, there's always a way to release them. And it's Elakader Rabbi Meir Aneni Hashem, you should answer me in the merit of Rabbi Meir. And this is a koyach that's in the world starting tomorrow night. It kind of goes all the way through Shabbos till we get to Lag BaOmer, which means that if there's anything in anybody's life that they want to do better in, if there's anything they have to conquer in their life, if there's any second chance that they might need, now is the time in our life that we can do such a thing. In the merit of Rabbi Meir, in the merit of Pesach Sheini, in the merit of Lag BaOmer, which is also the Hilula, which is also the Yortzeit of the great Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai, who understood that you could withstand the challenges and the tests of the whole Roman world that is upon you. You can go hide out and learn Torah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will protect you, and He'll give you the greatest secrets of the universe. In the merit of all of these great Tanoim, these great sages, and the great messages of the Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us, every person who's missing something, it doesn't only have to be a watch, or a set of keys, or a wallet, or money. Everybody's missing certain things in their life. Perhaps you're missing your emunah. Perhaps you're missing your simcha. Perhaps you're missing your trust in the Rebbe Shalom. Perhaps you're missing your connection to your neshama, which is going to be a connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Perhaps you're missing mitzvahs. Perhaps you're missing many things in life. Whatever you're missing, during this time of the year, a person can, in the schus of Elakad the Meir Aneni, Hashem is going to answer you and open your eyes so that you're no longer blind. You're able to see exactly what you need to see. I want to leave you off with an amazing story. Sometimes you look for stories, you're trying so hard to fit the story into the shir that you're giving. There's two ways to do it. Either you find a really good story, and then you build a shir all around the story, or you have a shir, and you have to find a good story to fit into the shir. So sometimes I'll tell a story, it happens to be a good story, it doesn't fit in exactly. But today I found one, it fits in exactly. This goes back to the middle of World War I, and there were two Russian Jews at this time. One is Rabbi Avraham Kaganovich, and the other one is Rav Mendel Rubinov. And they're making their way through the snow. They're hiding, and beards are stiff from the frost. Their coats are thin and worn out from weeks and weeks and weeks that they're traveling on the road. They left everything behind. Their homes, their families, the streets that they were familiar with, the life that they knew, and they're going from village to village. They're sleeping in barns, they're sleeping in empty sheds, wherever they could go that they could close the door at night. That's where they're going to sleep. And every night they would say Tehillim, and every night they would daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give us the strength to wake up in the morning and go the next day and do what we need to do. And now the border is in sight. And if they can just get across the border, when they're going to get across the border, they're going to be able to go to freedom. So they are traveling at nighttime. It's freezing cold outside. The snow is falling lightly, and they're going quietly as they possibly can. They do not want to get caught. And as they're beginning to walk closer and closer, where they see the border within eyes distance, suddenly they hear the words, "Halt!" And they turn around, and there's a Russian soldier with his gun around his chest, and he looks like he means business. And he looks at them and he says, "Papers!" Everybody had to have papers of identification, otherwise you're finished. Now Reb Avram and Reb Mendel had no papers, of course. Nobody had papers, and if you get caught, you're dead. And they look at each other, and they look at the guard, and they know there's only one thing they can do. They better run for their lives as fast as they possibly can. And so Reb Avram goes in the breakneck speed, and he goes running this way. And Reb Mendel goes running that way, and Reb Mendel's running through the snow, going through trees and brush and all the different things, and he sees like a little cleft in the snow, and he jumps inside. And the snow starts covering him up. And he's davening and davening and davening, "Please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please, 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 don't let them find me." Reb Avram, the other one, he runs at breakneck speed, and he sees a barn that looks like it's crumbling, and he goes running into the barn. He goes leaping up 1 stair, 2 stairs, 5 steps at a time. He's running up. He runs into a bedroom at the top of the farm. There's a bed there, and he runs under the bed. And he's there trying to catch his breath, trying not to make noise. And then he says, Aneni the Meir, Aneni. I'm giving 1 ruble to tzedakah in the schos of Rabbi Meir. And he's there and he's davening and davening. And he can hear in the distance the guards and the dogs. He says, Aneni the Meir, Aneni. I'll give 2 rubles. Please don't let them find me. And he hears now the doors to the barn opening up. And he says, Aneni the Meir, Aneni. Elakah the Meir, Aneni. I'll give 3 rubles. He doesn't have any money. I'll give 3 rubles, please. And he hears the boots starting to walk up the stairs. Elakah the Meir, Aneni. I'll give you 4 rubles. 5 rubles. And suddenly he hears the guard walk into the room. His heart is beating out of his chest. He said, my heart was beating so loud I was sure they could hear my heart. And he says quietly, Elakah the Meir, Aneni. 8 rubles. The guard walks right by the bed. He says, 9 rubles, Elakah the Meir, Aneni. And the guard pulls off the sheet of the bed. And he says, Elakah the Meir, Aneni, 10 rubles, please save my life. And suddenly the guard says, Jew, I see you, out! And he walks out from underneath the bed. His body is shaking and trembling. He's sure he's going to get killed right now. And he says one last time, quietly, Elakah the Meir, Aneni. Please, the God of Rebbe Meir, answer me. And at that moment, the guard looks at him and says, who are you talking to? You talking to your friend? You think I don't know where your friend is? I know exactly where he is. And with that, the guard turns around and goes running down the stairs, and he goes looking for Reb Mendel, the other one of the Jews that ran away. And Avram is saved. Elakah the Meir, Aneni, he's been answered. He runs out the back of the barn, and he starts running at breakneck speed as fast as he can until his chest is burning and burning and burning, and eventually gets across the border, and eventually his life is saved, and he survives the war, a free man. His friend Avram Keganovich, the other one, he was in this cleft of the snow, and the snow was falling and covered him up, and he was becoming frostbitten and frozen, but they could not see him, even though the dogs walked past and the guards, they didn't find him. He stayed there until the nighttime when nobody else was around. He dug himself out of the snow, he warmed himself up somehow, and he trudged through the snow in the middle of the night, and he ended up across the border, and his life was saved. And these 2 friends eventually they ended up meeting each other after the war, and they would tell over to their children and grandchildren that you have to know, salvation can come at the last possible moment. When you think it's all finished, when you think it's all over, when you think there's no place to go, when you think there's no hope at all, Elakah the Meir, Aneni, Rebbe Meir taught us, a Jew always has another chance. His eyes can always be opened. He can always see what's right there in front of him that he didn't know before. You're captive, you can be released, you can be free. You lost something, you can find it. As long as a person has that conviction and they believe in the Ribono Shel Olam, there's nothing that is out of our grasp. So, Mirz Hashem, as we come to the Pesach Sheini tomorrow night, the Hilula, the Rebbe Meir Baal HaNes, the Yortzeit, the Rebbe Meir Baal HaNes, which will carry us into Lag BaOmer on Monday night, which is the magnificent story of the conviction of Rabbi Akiva, who never gave up on Hashem and never gave up on his Torah, never gave up on Klal Yisrael. Whatever it is that you need in your life to be revealed, whatever answers you need, whatever second chances a person has to have, whatever tshuva they need to do, whatever salvation they are yearning for, May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless us with the miracles of this time of the year. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu open up our eyes. Kulam becheska sumin. We're all in the category of blind, only because we don't see what's right under our nose. But if we look hard enough and we believe even more and we have bitachon, we have trust and reliance on Hashem, then Elokah, the Meir Aneni, we are certain that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to answer us, certain that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring us to where we want to be, and all of the brachas, all the blessings, all the simchas, all the good things that Hashem has in store should be there right in front for us to take. Im Yirtzeh Hashem.